Hi guys, it's Phil
And Liam
from Die Hard on a Blank, and we're excited to talk to you about a brand new podcast we're launching called 48 Hours of Buddy Movies.
That's right, folks. 48-hour-long
approximately
episodes exploring 48 different buddy movies, beginning with the original classic that started it all, Walter Hill's 1982 masterpiece, 48 Hours, starring Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
And just like Die Hard on a Blank, our new show will explore the influence of 48 Hours on the action genre, one buddy movie at a time.
We'll be covering iconic franchises such as the Beverly Hills Cop movies, the Stakeout movies, the Bad Boys movies, classics of the genre like Running Scared,
Hyams Hive Rise Up,
Midnight Run, Red Heat, Tango and Cash, The Hard Way,
plus tough thrillers such as To Live and Die in LA, Black Rain, Point Break, Training Day, and The Way of the Gun.
As well as a few wild cards that you might not expect, such as RoboCop, Alien Nation, and, of course, Phil's favorite,
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
So if you're a fan of two buddies talking buddy movies,
then 48 Hours of Buddy Movies is for you.
Visit patreon.com/48 Hours of Buddy Movies to subscribe for the price of 1 cup of coffee a month.
See you in the squad car.
Or walking to the squad car, mildly irritated that we've been paired off.
Wherever. That's patreon.com/48 Hours of Buddy Movies to subscribe. Welcome to Die Hard on a Blank, the podcast where we explore the influence of Die Hard on action cinema, one action movie at a time. I'm Philip Gawthorne, and with me as always is Liam Billingham, and today's film is Phone Booth.
It's Die Hard in a phone booth. Not a creative tagline this time.
Sometimes, you just keep it simple. But this isn't just a simple episode. We have not one, but two unbelievable guests.
The Crockett and Tubbs of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Liam, please introduce our wonderful, esteemed guests, colleagues, and friends, if you would be so kind.
Well, it's our wonderful friends and co-hosts of the late great Miami Nice, Katie Walsh and Blake Howard, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
This felt like, the Colin Farrell was the link here. That was the idea. And I think it's pretty interesting to discuss this film. Colin Farrell is pretty prevalent in the culture at the moment, with the Penguin, and he's been doing amazing work forever, but it feels like pretty present at the moment. And I think it's pretty exciting to I know that it was Tigerland before this, but this was kind of maybe when I think the mainstream really saw, like, holy shit, there's a new sheriff in town. This actor is phenomenal. It is no mean feat to hold the screen when you're trapped in a phone booth for the entire movie and be riveting. So, as avowed Colin Farrell fans, we wanted to get you guys on and discuss this. So, starting with Katie, would love to just ask, do you remember when you first saw this film and what your relationship has been with it and with its star and director over the years?
Yeah, I watched this movie in 2020 when Mr. Joel Schumacher died. So 2002, I was in college at Middletown, Connecticut. I was not seeing that many new movies. I was watching old movies in film school. And yeah, I did not see Phone Booth when it came out. So when Jolie died, Mr. Schumacher, my king. My favorite dude.
The dude rolls.
I watched a bunch of movies of his that I had never seen before. So I remember watching it in 2020, depths of lockdown, and I was like, this is pretty good.
That's accurate.
That was my reaction to it. Pretty good.
Agree. Pretty good.
Blake, do you remember, did you see this one when it first came out? Has it been in your life a lot?
Saw it in the theater. My brother worked for a distribution company in Australia and had worked there for so long that he got a gold card that entitled him to 2 free tickets to any theater and any movie anywhere. And he was such an infrequent moviegoer that I just stole it out of his wallet. And so I was flying in 2002, 2004. I was flying. I was seeing more movies than critics were, and I was doing none of the critical stuff. I was just talking nonsense with people who I liked. So I saw this. Really disappointing you didn't say Die Hard with a goatee, because it's really just waiting there. The chin strap is so unique.
Let's take it back. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode.
No, that's okay.
We'll redo all the marketing.
Exactly.
And no, I remember seeing it, and what I would just say is, like, Katie seeing it in 2020, it's like it's good, and I think actually seeing it later helps you have this cognitive distance from it. But I remember seeing Colin Farrell. I was like, I like this guy. Minority Report, like, was just around the corner. I was like super down for him. I was really into him, and then Kiefer Sutherland as the caller. Like, every person on the planet at that time had just heard him say previously on 24, previously on 24, previously on 24, like a million times. And so, like, as soon as it's like, oh, it's Kiefer Sutherland. So when is Kiefer Sutherland going to show up? Like, it's just his voice. It was impossible not to know the red herring of the movie. And I exactly agree with Katie's take. Pretty good. I walked out of there. I was like, that was fun. And since then, obviously, our obsessions with Colin Farrell have been well documented. And so, yeah, but I do love Joel Schumacher. I think he's tremendously underrated. And as a character in movie history, he might be the funnest. So,
well, I'm glad that you both feel strongly about that, because I've got a big question for you guys that we'll come to in the subsequent section where we can let you guys cook on Joel Schumacher, because I agree. I think he's a fascinating figure, and I'd love to get your respective takes on the kind of wider context of his career. For sure. Liam, do you remember did you see this one when it came out?
Saw it on home video. I remember renting it from Blockbuster Video. It was one of the last ones I got from there,
Wow.
I think, as I recall. And I really liked it. And in fact, I believe I owned the DVD for a period of time, rewatched it yesterday, and I gotta say, pretty good. Like, pretty good movie.
It's a little bit under being damned with faint praise. This movie's fucking amazing. Are you kidding me?
It's
like,
very
they
good.
made a movie that the whole thing is in a phone booth and it's dynamite. Like, that is no mean feat, man.
I really like
feel
this movie. I'm very impressed
by
by the fact that it moves so fast. Like, I kind of forgot that it's essentially a
fantastic.
real-time thriller.
Yeah. In the spirit of 24, that's such a good point that you made there. Like, I'd sort of forgotten about that. That was happening at that time, and he was so huge.
I kind of think it's not trying to be anything more than pretty good. Like, I think it's trying to be like a 3.5-star movie and just like nailing that. And it's like, it doesn't have big ambitions, which I appreciate.
Yeah. No, totally. It's like a modest movie in all the best ways, and it just has like a great central performance. I think he's excellent in this movie.
Brilliant concept, so well executed, I think. And well, let's get some. I also saw this, by the way, when it came out. Was pretty excited. Was certainly booked my ticket for the Colin Farrell train after Tigerland, and I was very interested in this guy. And then after this, it was like, holy shit, yeah, he really is the real deal, because that is, the cliche of you could watch them read the phone book. It feels like this is almost as close as you could get to, you watch an actor be in a phone booth and be so compelling for, so if he's not good, the film doesn't work. So I think that's
I say that about Blake. I could watch him read from the phone book.
Oh, stop it.
You stop.
Stop it.
You stop.
All right, guys, settle down. Simmer down.
I'm too professional today. I need to unbutton a
We
couple of
can't
buttons.
help
Maybe that's
it.
saucy talk.
That's how we
I need
feel
to
about each other.
have your Miami Nice style cocktails, and all right, so let's get some fast facts.
I'm ready. It's 8:15 in the morning, and
go.
I
Let's
could
get
turn
them
this
out.
coffee into a hot toddy.
I'm a
instantly.
fiend for 8:15 mojitos.
All right, guys, so some fast facts just to put this in a little bit of context before we dig deeper on this one. This film was directed by the aforementioned amazing Joel Schumacher, written by Larry Cohen, also a fascinating figure in Hollywood history that we will talk about. It stars Colin Farrell, Forrest Whitaker, Katie Holmes, Radha Mitchell, Kiefer Sutherland, It was distributed by 20th Century Fox. It was originally released September 10th, 2002 for TIFF, and then had a wider release, which was delayed due to various news events. One in particular, it's finally had a wide release April 4th, 2003 in the US. The budget of this film was $13 million, and its box office was $97.8 million. People loved this movie.
Oh yeah,
it connected. People were into it. They went to the theater to see it. So. Those are just some bit of business to take care of. But let's get into why we're talking about it on this show in a section that we like to call
Die Hard DNA.
Okay, so now we've said many times.
Can I just say,
please.
One thing that you guys are so good. I love this show.
Thanks.
Aww.
And I love you guys.
I love flirting with you.
Katie and I are very fond of you. One thing that hasn't gotten better is Liam's impression of that DNA dinosaur.
Well, you know
it
what?
literally it literally has stayed the same level of quality. And I just want to say it's so good. I'm so impressed that it just never has moved
My
once.
goal here is to be the cheesiest radio DJ you've ever heard. Okay, just let me have it.
Very soundboard. It's
I said a nice thing about you.
This thing happened. This happened once, I think, and then we just stuck with like a lot of this weird shtick that we ended up doing. Then we just
it's my sense of humor. Someone laughs once, and I repeat the joke 45 times.
Exactly.
That's just how I deal.
So as to why we're talking about it on this show in the Die Hard DNA section, this is a classic, we've talked about our shorthand for Die Hard. The Die Hard concept is a bad guys take over a blank up to one person to fight back, etc. In this case, bad guy takes over a phone booth and it's up to one guy to fight back. But beyond that obvious comparison, I think there's some more interesting things that I caught, and we'd love to get your thoughts if you had anything that you caught as well. One being that his only ally is a haunted, sympathetic black cop who is the only other person in the mix who understands what's really going on. The Forrest Whitaker character being comparable, I think, to the Al Powell character in Die Hard. We've talked a few times about this quote from Andrew Vanya, the legendary action producer who produced Die Hard with a Vengeance, amongst many other action classics, who once said, in reference to that movie, Die Hard is a guy in trouble in a box. Whether the box is the building, whether that box is an airport. We broadened it to a city, speaking of Die Hard with a Vengeance, but it's still a box. So to me, that was like this notion taken to its perhaps most extreme illustration. So inevitably becomes the classic pressure cooker siege situation that soon involves the police, hostage negotiators, SWAT teams, city workers, opportunistic TV news reporters, and it all takes place in a compressed time frame, more or less in real time, as you mentioned. The protagonist and antagonist are in separate physical spaces and communicate almost exclusively over the airwaves, over the phone lines. The main character, these ones are a little bit more tenuous, but worth making the point, I think, nonetheless. The main character is a cocky New Yorker who smokes and swears constantly. I think that's worth, lest we forget McClane's origins. One of my favorite, more tenuous links here is that a misunderstanding over the phone about ordering a pizza in reference to the... No shit, lady, does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Wow.
Here we have the poor pizza delivery guy who I felt so bad for.
Yeah, that scene makes
I really
me sad.
didn't like that bit.
Makes me
you
really
sort of
sad.
saw his heartbreak. It was the actor. It was like really sad.
Trying to deliver a pizza,
He becomes a casualty of this situation. There's a meta aspect in that it references other movies. We've talked about that a lot with Die Hard, about how it references Westerns and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was one of the first mainstream action films to kind of pull the curtain back in that respect. In this film, there's not a load of specific pop cultural references, but the caller does talk about how, why does the bad guy always cock his gun in the movie before shooting the good guy? Why wouldn't he have it already cocked? Because that sound is scary. So he's referencing the fact that other movies do exist. The final one that I had two last ones. One was one that might be worth thinking about when we come to the theme section, the idea of status. So, we've talked about how with Die Hard, it's a lot about how people's statuses are reversed. The cocky, arrogant characters that come in hot like Dwayne T. Robinson, Ellis, and Dick Thornburg all end up humbled or humiliated by the conclusion of the story. I think similarly, Stu carries himself as this very high-status character, treats people like shit, but is kind of revealed to be a phony and a fraud at the end of it. But my favourite one was that at the end of the film, the main character of Stu removes his watch, which has become a symbol of materialism and spiritual bankruptcy. When he's in the ambulance, he takes off his watch that was a bit of a symbolic status flex for him, in much the same way that the Rolex that Bonnie Bedelia's character has at the end of Die Hard is jettisoned, symbolizing her potential. And people have interpreted that in different ways, but her emancipation from materialistic obsessions, if you will. So those are the Die Hard DNA. That was what the interns threw together for us. Are any thoughts, additions, or as to how this links back to the original classic?
No, I think you nailed all of them and then some.
Are you kidding?
It started with me taking the piss out of Liam's accent, and then you're like, emancipation from materialist obsessions?
Yeah, yeah.
You're good at
Would
this.
you have anything to say to me?
Well, we'll kick back with some cocktails and take this to the next level after this quick break. And we're back with our next section of the show, Anatomy of an Action Movie, where we explore the tenets, although now I'm afraid to do these bits, in case unless we get eviscerated.
We live in a Twilight world, and I'm not afraid to say it to Blake.
And there are no friends at
Apparently
dusk. But there are
aren't
friends on this
friends
show.
at dusk.
Friendly sniping. Okay, in the spirit of this film. The first tenet of Anatomy of an Action Movie is the premise. So forgive me, I will stop bloviating momentarily and let you guys cook on this one. But I'm just going to set the stage for what the premise is, and then perhaps we can unpack what the themes are and also about Joel Schumacher's career. So the premise of this movie. Slick, sleazy, unscrupulous celebrity publicist Stu Shepard, Colin Farrell, lies for a living, hustling on behalf of his clients while strutting the streets of New York and constantly making and taking phone calls with the help of a young intern named Adam, played by Keith Nobbs. However, while visiting one of the city's few remaining phone booths to secretly call a young actress whom he is trying to sleep with behind his wife's back, Stu suddenly finds himself in the middle of a terrifying situation when an unidentified caller, played by Kiefer Sutherland, predominantly just a voice performance, although it does appear briefly at the end of the film.
So good.
Informs Stu that he will kill him with a sniper rifle unless he remains in the phone booth and follows all of his demands. So I had two questions for you guys. The first is just about the film, and then I'll bring it to Joel Schumacher. My first one is, you sort of said, Katie, that you think this film had maybe limited aspirations, maybe wasn't thematically that deep. But is it, in you guys' opinion, about anything beyond the events of the plot? Is it actually trying to explore anything about modern society, class, family, morality, consequences? Did it resonate for either of you guys beyond just being a real crackerjack thriller?
Well, I will say I don't think that like if I think a movie is not like trying to be more than it is, I think it still has themes. Like I think it's still, even 3.5 star, like whatever kind of like pulpy, trashy movies, like they still are dealing with like the world around us and telling us something about that. So I will just say I don't think it's like not trying to say anything. And then, but I do think that this is a very Catholic movie, which I picked up on last night. When he basically forces him to confess all of his sins while he's standing in a damn booth.
So, I never thought of that. I love that. It makes so much sense. Yeah.
You can't see the priest in a confessional. And, at the end when he's, being like, I did this and I did that and I cheated on my wife and I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm a fraud. I'm a phony. I'm like, this is so fucking Catholic.
That's really Catholic. Jeez.
And maybe, shout out to all the Catholics out there who've had to go to confession. But
The worst.
Yeah. So I that was one thing that I picked up on. And I also think it is so hilarious that he is a publicist. And having been a publicist in my very first job, I was like, of course the asshole who's on the phone all the time is the publicist. And it's true. They all are. They're all, constantly on their phones. So I think especially in like an early cell phone adoption era, like 2002, 2001, you would really be attuned to that kind of behavior. A loud mouth talking on the phone loud. And it is hilarious then that he gets trapped in the old phone booth. So it's this like tension of old and new.
That's fascinating. Somehow that had gone over my head, that analogy of being essentially in a confession booth, but it's dead on. And he feels like the character, I think, probably is Catholic. It actually kind of feels like he probably would be.
Oh, Schumacher hires the Irish Catholic guy.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's
He's-
perfect that he's that Irish guy for a
get the
Catholic
Irish guy.
movie.
Absolutely. He's a Bronx guy, isn't it? I think he's doing a Bronx accent, but
Bronx
it definitely
Irish,
feels,
I mean, that's the thing.
Feels spot on. Blake, did it reach any deeper for you, this one, beyond just its sort of superficial elements?
I've been thinking a lot about the movie The 25th Hour recently, obviously because Spike Lee has been doing Highest to Lowest, and so like it snuck up on me. Knowing that we were going to talk about it, I kind of completely blanked on like, oh, this is like a New York 2002 movie, which is like a post 9/11 New York movie. And so for me, I started thinking about, you were saying like the emancipation from the material. I just started thinking about like the emptiness of existing infrastructures or jobs or these like capitalist pursuits in the once like confronted with the gravity of like your reality. So I feel like this movie of like a confessional that's in a phone booth in a glass box of emotion in New York City.
Yes.
It's like it's and I love what Katie said, because I started feeling that like that sinfulness, you're being witnessed, right? Like everyone's watching, So funny to me that Rada Mitchell is again cheated on. This poor woman's been market corrected so many times in movies. She's just getting cheated on with Katie Holmes. Poor thing. Anyway, like I just like every one of his sins is almost there when he's confessing them. There are people there that are witnessing him, and he has to confess to everyone. And so that really rung true for me, but it was just like that whole thing of like this status, this pursuit, this life, like what is it all for? And that, as you said, the very Catholic thing, I loved that, Katie, because I felt like that too, where it's like he casts it all off. He's like, I get to be free. I've confessed in front of the world, and what else do I have to do? It's just like I can actually be free of all this sort of stuff. So it's just very interesting that this very like confessional movie, this guilt that is underlying, is still like wanted to be set in New York post 9/11. So obviously there's probably some financial incentives and people trying to, get the city back on its feet. But it's one of those ones that like wasn't about it, but is also about it. Like it's
Can't
very
help
interesting.
but be, right? Because of the
can't
time
help-
in which it's made.
Yeah. So no, that's what I found. And just that early 2000s thing of people were really trying to make Rada Mitchell happen, bless her heart. And it wasn't happening. So that was the one thing. I was just like, poor Rada Mitchell. Couldn't catch a break.
Great point. And 25th Hour, also similar, a movie I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Was
One
not
of the
intended to be made, was I think based on a book, right? And wasn't originally set at that time, but because that's when they happened to be making the film, they couldn't ignore the specter and the aftermath and the palpable tragedy that the city had been through. But Liam, if anyone can understand Irish Catholic guilt,
Take it. I'm not
surely,
sure. No, I'm doing
surely
great. I'm doing
you
great.
have thoughts on this one. Did it resonate beyond the obvious?
Well,
for you?
I think the guilt thing is well observed. The thing that I kept thinking about, speaking of New York movies, was I watched this year for the first time in a long time, is The Sweet Smell of Success. And this feels like the action, like if you took Sweet Smell of Success and combined it with Snake Eyes, you would have this movie, right? This kind of like morality tale about what seeking fame or publicizing fame will do to a person, right? And the consequences of that. And like, I'm sure that's a movie that Schumacher is very aware of and smart about. And so that was the thing that kept sticking out to me, is the sweet smell of success of it. They kind of begin with similar montages of New York City and the kind of energy in it, and kind of this like inflated aspirational agent who's not really all he's made up to be, and kind of like the way he ruins a young woman's life. Like, it had a lot of that. That was the first thing I thought about the whole time. And definitely I can see the guilt thing, though. I have to say I didn't think of it. I mean, I think this movie moves so quickly that it's almost, you're almost just like caught up in it the whole time and just kind of enjoying the experience of watching it and watching Colin Farrell cook. But yeah, I think the sin thing is is a really good point. It also feels like, and Blake, we talked about this when we talked about Ronin, this like late 90s cell phone Nokia wave thing that this movie is doing, where people suddenly have phones. Like, I love the voiceover at the beginning that's like, you know, in previous societies you would look insane for talking to yourself the way that people do. Like, I like that, like, I like the way the movie sets that up. I almost wish Kiefer Sutherland was reading it.
In current society, people on speakerphone on the train are insane.
Cuckoo. Yeah, or listening to music all that. But yeah, no, it feels like almost prescient about that stuff, you know? Like, it's ahead of its time and how it's thinking about that stuff and the interconnectedness. A little bit reminds me of Black Hat when we're going through the phone and the phone system and stuff like that. So I think it's an interesting, not only with what it's about, but the movies that it seems to be referencing.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting book. It's almost like the dark version of those 80s sort of aspirate, like go to the big city and make it in whatever industry that you're trying to do. And that was in the sort of Reagan era considered to be like cool and normal and everything. And then this film kind of questions it. And it's like, essentially what he's doing is quite empty as well. There's and in some cases sort of, you know, sleazy and dishonest. And therefore he realizes he's got no soul, but he kind of gains one by the end of the story, or there's a sort of redemption story. So I love that angle, Katie. I want to ask you guys then my other second big ticket question here, which I think you will enjoy unpacking. My question is, you know, you mentioned that you're Joel Schumacher fans. I am as well. I think he's fascinating. My question is, if Joel Schumacher had not made the two much maligned Batman movies, which have their defenders, including Liam Billiam,
including myself.
Yeah.
Okay. But if he had not made those films that were so, you know, well, frankly, were pretty maligned, especially the second one.
Not on our internet feeds. Have you seen the Batman Forever memes I get every day?
Perhaps now it's actually more fashionable to be like, oh, let's reclaim them as these kind of camp cult classics. But just to finish this idea. Right, just back off and let me get this fucking question out, right? So the question, because you're going to like answering it. If he hadn't made those two Batman films, what would his legacy have been as a filmmaker?
I think he would live on forever in my heart, as he already does.
Yeah, I think the Batman films, like when you have a look, like, and it's really interesting that early this year I checked out The Wiz. For the first time, which he wrote and Sidney Lumet directed. And so he adapted that for the screen. But I think his resume early, St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys, Flatliners, like
falling down.
But even just that tiny corridor, it's like 6 or 7 years there. They're all like absolutely seminals, late 80s, early 90s classics. He then comes in and makes Falling Down, which is a banger, like, again, a great 3.5 star, fantastic movie. Obsession, The Client, a solid movie. And then he makes like A Time to Kill, which you can't, like, he made that between the Batmans, and that was a monstrous movie, like a really, you know, and now perhaps hasn't aged as well or as sensitively as people who would like, but who cares? And then he went and made the, I always forget the writer's name because he's ultimately Finch's boy, Andrew Kevin Walker's 8mm. Yeah. So he makes 8mm later as well. So I love I think his entire oeuvre is hugely important. And I think if he never makes the Batman movies, the cult status of both Flatliners and particularly the Lost Boys, they make him live forever. Like, he shot Male Beauty at that time and then played around and tinkered with his style and inverted it in many films. But he shot Male Beauty and that kind of like aspirational beauty of like youth, and at that time like no one else ever did. He's a legend, and he's a character. I love him, and I'm really glad that you kind of went in that direction with your answers there, because I printed off his filmography as well, and that I had the second question that was kind of connected to this, or, you know, we often, I think, directors are unfairly put in like one of two buckets, right? Either auteur or journeyman, which might, or journey person or journeywoman or whatever you want to say, right? You know, but broadly as that's often what the filmic cultural conversation reductively reduces people to. But do either of those terms apply to someone like Joel Schumacher? And is there, because I was looking at his filmography and trying to discern, is there an overriding theme
to his movies, because and I have a theory as to what it could potentially be, but I want to give you a chance to see if you have any thoughts about that conversation, or could he be considered an auteur, or does that not even matter in your view? Is he just a great filmmaker?
I mean, I guess it depends on like how you define auteur. Like, does it have to be the same themes, or like can you look at a movie and be like, that's a Joel Schumacher movie? And like, I look at Flatliners, I'm like, that's a fucking Joel Schumacher movie. He goes,
Why?
He went because he
what's the essence of it?
Drenches the frame in style, and like he was a production designer. He was a his first job was designing windows for Halston. Like, he fills everything with like something to look at. Like, there's neon, there's billowing smoke. Like, that's why I love Flatliners so much, is because it's like, why are they doing surgery in like an old basilica? Because it looks cool as fuck. Like, like why are they like, whatever the fuck it's called, where they kill each other and then, with those paddles or whatever, and then bring themselves back to life in like a giant old empty art museum surrounded by, old heads of statues. It's like, because it looks great, and there's like billowing smoke and neon and plastic and all this stuff going on. And I think Phone Booth looks amazing. It does actually look, totally distinct, but there's stuff going on in it that is like Matty Libatique shot the fuck out of this movie. Like, I think he repeats like 2 camera setups. Like, everything is a different camera setup. It's so crazy. And like,
it's dazzling, isn't it, to look at?
Like, and the picture in picture and all this stuff. I mean, it's not like I just think that like, I heard that Mr. Schumacher on the set of Phantom of the Opera, someone was complaining about how another actress was over the top. And his famous line was, nobody ever paid $5 to see under the top. So
I love that.
I heard that from his
That's
AD, but I think it's like a famous line of his. But yeah, he's always like, I think he just is such a sort of like cinematic craftsman, and I think he puts other cinematic craftspeople to work really well. And like, his movies are just like, there's always something to look at, like in a million different ways and aspects, and they're just dripping with style. But I mean, thematically, he's kind of all over the place in terms of genre and the types of stories that he's telling. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like, I don't know what the themes are. What do you think, Blake?
I think it's a very, I think knowing that he wrote and adapted The Wiz is like a perfect entryway for me for all of his movies forever, simply because you have huge stage theatricality, and then the anchoring of that story, which is like making it really, I guess, socio-culturally specific, and like blending imagination and real world issues together. And so it takes like something as famous as The Wizard of Oz, brings all these amazing Afro-American like creatives all about to burst onto the scene, or some of them already at their peak, and then just explodes them onto the screen and splashes in it. At the time, it was more of a black audiences like embraced it and loved it and couldn't believe that this was like their kind of Avengers of amazing creatives that were all together making this movie. And it landed softly, because I suppose when you compare anything to The Wizard of Oz, it stinks. But I love that in all of his movies, because it's like you see that as soon as he goes into Lost Boys. It's like this story about a divorced mom moving into a town trying to find her way, her 2 like shitbag sons getting into mischief, her weird dad that she no longer doesn't want to live with, who stuffs animals, and then it's like fantastical vampires and flying and smoke hanging off the bridges and floating down, and you're eating maggots, Michael, and like the guy with like no shirt playing with the
saxophonist is amazing.
Like that's Joel Schumacher movies. He's so like, he will tie a very hyper specific social issue information into something, and then not be afraid to completely go off the rails with imagination. And that happens in many of his movies. It's like, if he's grounding it to something, he's not afraid to be imaginative about it, or to take risks and to go completely off the rails. Because like, truly, the town that Lost Boys was set in did have the most missing children. And he went there and was like, oh, we'll tell the story here. And it's true. Like, the facts of that are in there, but it's like, no one remembers that or cares or thought that it was anything but a fallacy. But like, this is a guy who had a very unique way of approaching sociocultural issues and then just making it splash. And I think that Katie's so right. It's like they're just stuffed. Like 8mm, whatever you think about, like the way that the story is told, the production design of that movie makes you feel like you need a shower when you're finished.
Yeah.
A Time to Kill, it makes you want to just snuggle up with sweaty Sandy B and Matthew McConaughey for that entire movie because it's just out of control. And Tigerland is a stunning movie, which we've referenced a couple of times. And I think, like his Phantom of the Opera is probably garish and over the top, but who gives a shit? Like, I'm way more of a person who's like, swing the biggest swing you possibly can swing in any context. And if it fails, it will probably be an admirable failure. I hate Safe, and he's not, which is why I love him.
Yeah, well said.
It's interesting we mentioned the Catholic guilt thing, because like I have a pretty distinct memory of like my sisters renting Flatliners and me being like, there's something dangerous about this movie. Like and I feel that like, that's obviously true of Falling Down too, right? There's something like 8mm, obviously, but and Lost Boys, there's something kind of like smoothed out. They're edgy. Like, you know what I mean? Like Flatliners was like kind of sexy and everyone in it was good looking, but they're like having sex and like killing each other for certain amounts of time. Like I do feel like his movies are such a vibe and like they're hugely influential. I feel like people who growing up at this like period of time, it's like Flatliners was like a big deal, right? It was a movie that really stuck out and had all these major movie stars in it. And like, he's so stylish and like his movies are a vibe in a very, very specific way. And I think even like, the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are kind of transgressive too, because they're like, what if Batman but gay, right? Like that's a huge like part of it. And it's like really entertaining and cool to watch. And like, I revisit those ones and I'm like, yeah, they're not like the other ones, but that makes them better. Like he just kind of pushed
ravishing to look at. I also think a lot of the blowback against them is total homophobia in the mid-90s. But yeah, there's a lot of like, I think he actually
can I just say one thing, but really quickly? Sorry, Kat, I'm so sorry to interrupt, Katie. I just want to tag on this point. I also think what I love about Joel Schumacher's Batman, it's not just that they're gay, it's that anyone can get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just I love that the movie's like Chase Meridian, the hottest psychologist ever.
Parts of my sexuality awoken in that movie.
Mine too.
Right.
Like I literally started going through puberty thanks to Chris O'Donnell in that movie.
Totally.
Like,
and so you have those moments. It's like anyone can get it, and I think that's what scared people. It wasn't just that it was camp and gay. It was like anyone can get it. And Joel Schumacher's like dragging that back to the TV show because like Adam West is, famously shagging like 9 people a day while he's making Batman on TV, like, so I think it's like,
and so was Mr. Schumacher.
I just disassociated thinking about Alicia Silverstone and Batman and Robin for a second. Like I was just like, oh wait, that costume. Anyway, I'm still here. Hi, I'm back. Yeah, it's very hot.
It's all Chase Meridian for me.
And they're sweaty movies, right? Like
yes.
And yeah, he's really interesting. Like I remember Bad Company, which is like his Jerry Bruckheimer movie, which is like very distinct from a lot of those Jerry Bruckheimer movies from that era. It's like more of a comedy. It's a little silly, right? So it's like there really is. I don't think I sit around going like, oh, the themes of Joel Schumacher. But when you see a Joel Schumacher movie, you're like, that's a Joel Schumacher movie. He really does have that.
Katie, did you have a point you wanted to finish before we move on, or shall I present my theory?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Something about Batman being gay and sexy. I mean,
if you remember, please feel free to interrupt me.
And then look, it was the other movie that Val Kilmer made that year that we've talked probably more about collectively, but still a 95 Val Kilmer movie. We love a 95 Val Kilmer movie. That's all I say.
And he made that movie in direct response to Batman Forever because he didn't want to wear the cowl.
Yeah.
He was like the rubber cowl of the Batsuit was like too restrictive. He was like, I don't want to do another one. I'm going to go do this other movie with this other filmmaker that we may have talked about a few times.
I don't have any memory of that.
Well, before we move on, I think two small points on that. I wonder, one thing that occurred to me, and it is maybe a bit of a reach, but are his films about the difference between being an outsider and being an insider? You know, I'd wondered if you think about a lot of the like St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys. You know, obviously they're sort of more youth
right
screen
from
movies.
Yeah,
Falling Down, very much about an outsider, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 8mm is this sort of totally unacceptable subculture world, you know, that people find completely repellent, but this character gets drawn into. You know, I wondered if that could be a possible kind of idea of, you know, people who are inside and outside kind of mainstream society. You know,
the Phantom of the Opera.
Right, exactly. Classic example. You know, so I wonder if maybe there is. I think we're all in agreement that Joel Schumacher is an amazing filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're making a good point, Phil. Like, I think he probably has the ability to resonate with those stories, being a gay man and, you know, living in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know. So I think he probably resonates with those, has empathy for those characters and is interested in their stories.
And kind of rebuilt his own life with the heavy drug addiction that he had as a young person, and you know all of that as well, and sort of reclaimed his own life and from the ashes that were somewhat self-created, and then had this extraordinary career. And I feel like Warner Brothers must have just felt as well like he's a safe pair of hands. We can give him A Time to Kill, like a bestseller by the hottest novelist around at that time, in between the Batman movies, as you said, Blake. And you know he is just a fantastic filmmaker, and I do feel like maybe he has been more culturally reclaimed nowadays. But you know, we're in a slightly different time with a bit of distance to his stuff. But yeah, I think he's fantastic. And the other thing, bringing us to our next point that I think is worth mentioning with both A Time to Kill and Tigerland, is that he is a star launcher.
Oh yeah,
he launched the career of Colin Farrell, who had not done anything that really anybody really knew about, and similarly with McConaughey, who had work but wasn't a star, and gave them the space and the support, and as you said, like to photograph them beautifully, you know. And as you mentioned, Time to Kill, everyone is sweating, and you know, and McConaughey, you know, and he does make actors must love working with him because he makes them look amazing.
He's got great taste in men.
Yes,
he really does, and ladies.
And an instinct for you know, to create stars, to give them that catapult that they need. So let's talk about speaking of that, let's talk about the hero Colin Farrell as Stu Shepard, the sympathetic scumbag. Thoughts on the character, the performance, Colin Farrell at this time in his career? What makes this so special, and you know, why is this such a unique? To, I think, you know, it's hard, and other people were attached to this part. This project was around for many years, but it's hard to imagine anybody else doing as good a job. And the fact that he was somewhat of an unknown to a mainstream audience, I think, made it even more exciting. So, what do you guys think about Colin Farrell as Stu Shepard in this movie?
I mean, man, that goatee just does so much heavy lifting and like telling you who this guy is. Like,
yeah.
Would you call it like a creed? Like, was Scott Stapp rocking the like just the chin? I don't know. I
don't know, but 2002 Blake was after seeing this movie. Let me tell you that.
No.
You walked out. You were like, "It's time."
I was.
I can do it.
It was bad. Right now,
I don't want to see them, but I do need you to find the photos of that. It's going to be hard, but I need to see it.
It's going to be hard, but I need to see it.
But I mean, all joking aside, like, it is amazing how he starts out at like a 10 asshole, and you do end up still wanting to like go on this journey. But he starts out so bad. You're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. That says a lot, though, doesn't it? Like, you know, I've referenced this quote before that Tarantino mentioned on his podcast, which I've immediately was like, I'll take that and use that as a credo because it's so helpful. When he was saying, you know, what's this likable shit? Who cares about being likable? Are they interesting? Mm-hmm. And I always think about that. But Colin Farrell is still able to make this character who is so gross, frankly, like awful person, but he's so interesting. And then by the end of it, you really feel for him, right? I mean, that is so hard to do, and you are literally trapped in a confined space for the entire movie. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this in the wider context of Colin Farrell's career, Blake?
one thing I wanted to say is like, I'm asking the experts, who's homeboy in Die Hard? Sorry, I'm a father. I don't have as nearly as crisp a memory of names as I used to. But who's homeboy in Die Hard that coked up like the coke fiend who tries to negotiate? Yeah. This movie is Ellis, right?
Yes.
So we we actually, and this is where I wanted to touch on what you said, Phil, is like, we actually like seeing scumbag shits be humbled in movies. And a lot of the time we don't want them to die, but we like seeing them humbled. So him establishing himself as a peak scumbag piece of shit and then having him humbled is actually interesting because it's like, oh, now this motherfucker has to tell the truth for an hour. That's fun. And we'd like to say, it's like there's all those memes where it's like, I'm not judgmental, and it's like me not judging, and it's someone with like an incredibly judgmental expression on their face or like perplexed. It's like, that's how you watch this movie. It's like, oh, good, he's going to get humbled. And then what I think the magic of Colin Farrell is that he ends up being, even though he can be a scumbag, a shit, make bad decisions, be impulsive, decide to go have mojitos in a country that doesn't like his passport with the boss's head accountant / tenuous partner. We love that he makes bad decisions and we can react to his emotional conviction doing so. So what's cool is he has this ability to like turn you around. Like even in Minority Report, when he's like the bad antagonistic guy to Tom Cruise, like he's likable. He's likable. He asks the right questions. Even when he's being a shit, he's very likable. And so, yeah, I think seeing a scumbag slowly humbled for 90 minutes is perfect. That's a perfect movie premise.
He's also such a strong actor when he's like kind of back-footed, like like in Bruges, And I think immediately of what McDonough finds in Bruges and in A Sheeran, which are two of my favorite performances, where you're like, man, that very pretty man is like really dumb or really like not in control of his situation. Like it's an impressive actor that can play dumb. And like, this is obviously a very different kind of back-footing, but like one of the powers of this movie, if you think about it, is like, yes, he might get shot, but like the most terrible thing he has to do in this movie is tell the truth. Yeah. And that is like the suspense of this movie is like, what's going to happen when he tells his wife he's cheating on her? Like, it's so
it's hard to watch.
And he hasn't it's hard to watch. And it's like, it's painful. Like the suspense comes from like the ticking clock is they going to catch this guy kind of before he has to reveal to his wife what he's done. And like, he's so slimy. And yet the whole time you're like, don't do it. And it plays with your sympathy for him and for Radha Mitchell at the same time in this way that's like, makes it kind of painful to watch as a movie,
It's the human condition trapped in a box. Mm-hmm. It's a person who is particularly morally, weak. But basically, there but for the grace of God go I, right? You put somebody in a box. Eventually, they're going to have secrets. They're going to have things that they're ashamed about. They're going to have regrets or whatever. And he is just such an amazing vessel to explore that idea, which is just a unique piece of human drama. This is very much a specific movie to 2002, but it's also could be a one person stage play that could, in some respects, if you removed the modern trappings, that idea of a human being. It's Death of a Salesman. It's someone who's being stripped away of their status or the masks that they wear to walk in this world and then being revealed for the fragile soul that powers that vessel. I think is like a fascinating... and Colin Farrell just so amazing at bringing that to life and bringing all the different shades of this character.
They wouldn't have
in
the
addition
stones.
To just being so rich. Sorry, go ahead.
Phil, I was going to say they don't have the stones to make this a 90-minute movie. That's what I've noticed. Like it's like, now 23 years later, this would be an 8-part Netflix series. We'd have backstories of Forrest Whitaker's character, would have backstories of Radha Mitchell, and she was actually cheating too, and Katie Holmes would have lost a part to a hero. Right. It's just like, no, I don't want to see any of that shit. Just give me the scumbag and dress him down for an hour and a half and have Kiefer Sutherland's voice in my ear, and that's all I want to see, and have like the one like... Forrest Whitaker, when they still kind of weren't sure how good Forrest Whitaker was, that's this kind of era. It's like we don't actually know what to do with him because he's so good. But they get him to play this guy and he just knocks it out of the park. It's good. It's 90 minutes. That's the
it's like a short story as opposed to a like a novel. And that's why it works.
I think there is something really brave in like not cutting away to backstory. I mean, they do, I think they show they use the picture-in-picture conceit to show Katie Holmes at work and Rhoda Mitchell and the people that he's talking to. But which I think is really ballsy of them to do this like split screen, quadrant screen.
Reminds me of Time Code. Do you guys remember that movie? The Mike Figgis 4 screens at once. Like it's same era, right? This kind of like digital technology thing. Yeah.
Everyone's taking the 24, taking the 24, like
Good
the 24
point,
montage thing, and they're like trying to scale it up or down.
But I feel like this movie would have like a flashback if it was made today.
You'd know what happened with Forrest Whitaker. You'd see his wife leave or something like that. The stuff that like wouldn't.
You don't need it. You don't want it. Yeah, like you're saying, Blake. You just want to sort of stay in that, in the trajectory of what this is happening in real time. It makes it all feel very immediate and therefore very compelling because it never lets off the gas.
And it's never boring because I mean like Matty Libatique is shooting the hell out of this. Like he's doing crazy stuff. But then you also have such great supporting cast. Yeah. I love the supporting cast.
Totally. Well, let's talk about
crazy.
that.
The supporting cast goes crazy. Yes.
Well, speaking of the amazing supporting cast, let's talk about the villain of this piece, Kiefer Sutherland as the caller. Interestingly, one of the tidbits that came up from the research was that he replaced an excellent actor, Ron Eldard, who we talked about in Black Hawk Down and had a great career. And I saw him on stage doing American Buffalo. Fantastic actor. But he apparently performed the role on the set, but it was deemed by, I think it was either Larry Cohen or Joel Schumacher, I think it was Larry Cohen, that his voice was not, quote, mesmerizing enough. So which I think speaks to the power of Kiefer Sutherland and what kind of an amazing voice acting performance this is. What do you guys think of Kiefer's performance in this movie?
He sounds like Ghostface from Scream.
I think they went after that guy actually,
Stu, what's your favorite movie?
Would you like to play a game?
Stu. Yeah.
No, that's Jigsaw. Oh well,
that is Jigsaw.
Yeah. Would you like to see a photo of Blake in 2002 with a goatee?
Yes. He's great. I mean, it's like, when is Kiefer Sutherland ever not like, it's like great to see him, right? And I kind of forgot he was in this, and then I heard his voice, and I was like, wait, that's Kiefer Sutherland.
He was so ubiquitous at this time. Like Jack Bauer was 2001 to 2010. It was the post 9/11 show. And I actually want to just say 2 movies that I think have been completely underdone very recently that I saw him in. They Cloned Tyrone, which is so fun.
Yeah, that's a good fun movie.
Really fun movie. And The K Mutiny Court Martial, which is Billy Friedkin's last movie. Amazing. And he is amazing in it. And yeah, he's terrific. He's so good. But yeah, for me, I can't, because I was one of those 24 psychos, watching it every week when it was coming out. So hearing his voice, it's weird to me. It took me back to like waiting every whatever it was Thursday night to watch it and freaking out about 24, those first couple of seasons before it just turned ridiculous. And I don't know, he became Superman as Jack Bauer.
He's also like a bit of a Schumacher guy, right? Because he's in Flatliners. He's in Lost Boys, right? Yeah,
this was going to be one of my trivia questions, so we'll do.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's the 4th collaboration between the 2 of them. So I was wondering if you guys could name all of them, or is it? No, it's just 3. Sorry,
was he in St. Elmo's? Oh no, I was going to say
no.
Yes.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
How many did you just get, Liam?
3.
3. Yeah. That says a lot as well, I think, about the trust that actors have with him as well, that they want to keep working with him. They clearly had a great connection. And Lost Boys is kind of, in some ways you might think, is maybe, I mean, Kiefer Sutherland's most iconic role, perhaps, other than Jack Bauer, perhaps. So
Young Guns Erasure. I'm sorry, Young Guns Erasure.
Yeah, well, maybe he does so many amazing things. But he is fantastic.
Hey, what about those Melancholia fans out there? They're just some real Lars von Trier head crossover.
I'm one of them.
Silence. He is amazing in that. Actually, I sort of forget that he's in that Lars von Trier film, and he's great in it. Yeah, that movie was
Dark City.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Really good in Dark City too. Okay, anyways.
Anyway, he's fantastic. Let's move on. We'll get into the fun section, which will give you a chance to talk about the rest of the supporting cast because they'll come up in the awards. But I do want to touch on like how this fares as technically as an action film. It's not an action film per se, but do you have any thoughts on it as maybe more of a, in comparison to Die Hard, a riveting piece of suspense? How it fares on the sort of action thriller level? How would we rank it amongst the titans of the genre?
I think the most impressive thing about it is that it never pauses. Like, you know, these movies always have the like cut forward in time that implies that there's like, you know, where like he doesn't talk to the shooter for 20 minutes or whatever. Like it cuts to Forrest Whitaker on the sidelines. This movie like never cools down. Like it really, I watched it on a plane, right? And I turned it on like while the plane was taxiing and like all of a sudden it's over. Like it just could, like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like, oh yeah, this is cool. And like, I don't even think I'd gotten drink service yet on the plane, right? Like it just, and that whole time you're like locked in. So it's less an action movie and just like a never stop moving kind of thriller, right? Like, I mean, there's two bullets in the whole thing. Like it's just really interesting in that way. Like
there's actually only one on-screen death.
Right.
In the entire film, which is quite telling, you know, to maintain your attention without needing like a high body count. It's all just a threat of what might happen.
And blessedly, it doesn't leave the phone booth for like a chase around New York City in its final 10, 15 minutes. Like, it's good that they don't really confront each other.
When they were looking for other directors, there's a wonderful quote from Michael Bay why they didn't select him, because apparently the first thing he said, because they went to him for it, was, okay, great, so how do we get him out of the phone booth?
He's like, when's the car chase?
Can we make him a mercenary instead of a publicist? How do we make that work?
And he kind of made his own version of phone booth, though, with ambulance, but it just happened to be going at 100 miles an hour.
He's like, if I need to have a vehicle, I need to have some kind of vehicle.
Yeah. Yes. What can crash real good?
Yeah, and also I need to be able to fly drones through explosions, and there's not nearly enough.
Oh man, now I want to watch Ambulance again.
Ambulance
Let's
rules,
go.
by the way. That's such a good movie.
But it is to the film's credit that it maintains your attention, grabs you by the throat without the reliance on a tremendous amount of action or deaths. So I think that's kind of worth noting. Our final tenet of the Anatomy of an Action movie is the humor. It's a pretty funny movie. Were there any moments in particular that sort of you found the most amusing in this film? Because it is quite darkly funny.
Is it
in an acidic way?
I want to get the names. Is it Leon, Corky, and/or Asia? That sequence, that are trying to get into the phone booth and he has his head bashed against. That was one of my favorite moments.
That's hilarious. A brilliant tension he's got this other problem to deal with that's clearly going to escalate, and another status thing because he kind of treats them pretty disrespectfully, and then of course it goes up a level to Leon.
Yeah, this movie has not aged well in terms of its like treatment of sex workers, because everybody in the movie is just like the hookers. Yeah,
the hookers. Yeah, it's like, definitely Jesus like 22 Christ. Years old, right? Like I think Ben Foster's brief role as Big Q is pretty excellent as like this, like that might be a trivia question I might have just stepped on there, but it's okay. But he's just so like, you know, you would not think of Ben Foster in this role now, right? So to see him play this like obnoxious little guy,
he's really good.
Is pretty hilarious.
Ben Foster is literally the best in everything.
He's such a good actor.
Whenever you see him, you're like, he's so good. Oh my god.
He's about to come up in Hostage in a few movies' time, which is very much
I saw him play Stanley Kowalski once. And he was in with Gillian Anderson as Stella and Vanessa Kirby as Vanessa Kirby as Stella and Gillian Anderson as Blanche.
Wow.
And he was incredible. Yeah, he was really, really
Let's just all take a moment's silence
for Gillian Anderson.
Blake is paying his respects, if you will.
Paying respect. So respectful.
Oh my God.
He's respectfully paying his respects.
Talk about waking up my sexuality at like age 11 and being like, oh my, like I had to just get flustered and leave the room when the X-Files was on. It was a real thing.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
You weren't 11 seeing that, hopefully not the streetcar.
No. Just seeing her in the X-Files as a young man, and anyway, we can move on from there.
This is more of an off-mic conversation.
Let's stay there. FHM spread. It's fine. It's all
the
good.
horny campfire. We've made the horny campfire.
It's a safe space.
When someone starts getting horny, you watch Katie and I just sit smiling silently. Let them bury themselves with their horniness.
I'm British. We don't get horny. Like, it was not in our. We're not allowed. Let's go down the red carpet and head to the Die Hard Oscars and hand out some action movie awards for this piece. Starting with the John McClane Yippee-Ki-Yay Award for Best Line. One of the nominees I had, I don't know whether this is going to be in keeping with something that is unpolitically correct in today's modern age, but when the character of Felicia, one of the sex workers, goes, "Oh, you made me hurt my dick hand."
Oh my God.
That was pretty
And then he says, like, I bet you're just as good with the other hands. Yeah.
Larry Cohen.
Good stuff. Larry Cohen.
No stranger to the lurid. I'm just this was one of the more thematically potent lines that when Stu says, "I'm just part of a big cycle of lies. I should be fucking president." That's a thinker.
Wow.
That's a thinker.
Little political.
A little bit of politics.
A little bit of politics.
Bush era politics.
And then the caller's line is kind of interesting where he says, isn't it funny you hear a phone ring and it could be anybody, but a ringing phone has to be answered, doesn't it?
I like that one.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a great
There's
line. something
something really interesting. It reminds me of a movie I love, Miracle Mile. Where it's like if he hadn't picked Anthony Edwards' character hadn't picked up that phone, everything may have gone differently for better or worse. But there is something very interesting about that idea of it's like an itch that you have to scratch, the ringing phone. So thoughts or additional lines that you liked or a pick out of those?
That's it.
I like the ringing
you
phone.
nailed it.
Happy with that one? All right. Now, this one will be to your point, Katie, about the quality of the supporting cast. We have a stacked list of nominees for the Hans Gruber Exceptional Thief Award for stealing the film. I have the following nominees, but feel free to add. Kiefer Sutherland as the caller, Forrest Whitaker as Captain Ramey, Rada Mitchell as Kelly, Katie Holmes as Pam. The other person that I put in is Richard T. Jones as the sympathetic NYPD officer, Sergeant Jonah Cole. He's popped up quite a lot. He's in Collateral, as I'm sure you know. A familiar face in many of these.
Is that the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? I'm just kidding.
Thoughts on Exceptional Thief? Who walks away stealing the movie?
I have a different nomination.
Please.
Josh Pace, I think his name is, plays Mario from the restaurant Mario's. And I was like, is that Josh Pace? And also, I just have to shout this out. I don't know when else I'm going to shout this out, but Miami Vice reunion, Dominic Lombardozzi plays the first cop that he talks to.
Hell yeah.
Good eye.
And I was like, is that our boy Dom? And sure enough, it is. But my nomination is for Josh because I just loved seeing him pop up in that funny little role as like an asshole restaurant manager, hostess, or something. So
he's great. I remember seeing him around this time in a show that was cancelled that I loved that was called The Street. That was about Wall Street, and it had an amazing cast. It was crazy. Like Jennifer Connelly was in it. Adam Goldberg was in it.
Giancarlo
Scott was the
Esposito?
lead.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It only lasted a season, but it was great. And I remember him having a really good part in that. He's excellent. Yeah. Blake, do you have a pick or an addition for
Ben Foster?
Exceptional.
Okay. That was my thing. You guys mentioned him before. I was just like, yeah, he's great. And obviously, Dominic Lombardozzi, the most fun series of Twitter DMs and ghosting Katie and I had in our entire series of Miami Vice with one Dominic Lombardozzi. So
wow,
but no, Ben Foster, I love him. Every time I see him, I'm like, he makes all movies better. And when I see him in bits and pieces like this, it's really fun. He's just excellent. He's just really excellent.
All right, Liam.
Which
way are you going?
I think Josh Pice or however you say it is a good choice. I think that's really good. Forrest Whitaker has kind of become a little bit of like a MVP of this podcast. So he is good. There's deleted scenes with Jared Leto as Bobby. And I've always been curious about what those are, what they got rid
I'm not.
of. But... Why?
I'm just not curious. I don't know.
That's fine.
Colin-
You're normally kind of a curious guy, so that's surprising to me.
Just
but
color me satisfied
color
and I'm
me
curious.
satisfied. 30 seconds of satisfaction on my part. I think I'm good on that one.
So who are you going for?
Forrest Whitaker. I'm going to go Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. I think I would have to agree because although he's so good that he could deliver like an amazing performance like this while probably still in third gear, not and that is not in any way a criticism. It's more just that we know that what more he can do, but he's so good in it as this sort of like sad guy. You can feel that this guy's in pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's so good
Well, it's not the kind of pain he
that.
was in Blown Away. I mean, which you guys have covered. So, this is...
Talk about Irish guilt.
Yeah.
Great Irish guilt movies.
Speaking of Irish Catholic guilt. All right.
Obsessed.
I would agree with you, and I would go with Forrest Whitaker for Exceptional Thief. The Dick Thornburg Award for Dick of the Movie. There's one very strong nominee, which is the aggressive NYPD hostage negotiator Brahman, played by James McDonald.
He's good.
Who's popped up in Turbulence and Broken Arrow. He's like constantly pestering Forrest Whitaker's character and telling him that he doesn't know what he's doing. Paula Jai Parker as Felicia, who is the most aggressive of the sex workers who continually harasses Stu throughout the film. John Enos III as Leon the Pimp, or Stu Shepard himself.
Yeah, it's Stu Shepard himself. Yeah, what are we doing?
It's
Come on. He hurts her dick hand. I'm sorry. It's a really shitty thing to do.
All right, well, we all agree on that. We'll skip Best Death, and we will wrap things up with the Double Jeopardy trivia quiz after this very quick break. And we are back with our last section of the show, a little bit of fun, Double Jeopardy trivia quiz where the scores can really change. You can all collaborate. There's no pressure. No one's pitted against each other. Just relax. It's just a bit of fun.
I don't know. I'm so upset about the dire DNA comment.
You're very loved, Liam. Don't worry. Don't take it to heart.
I'm just flirting with Blake.
This is how Brits and Australians
show
share our
love.
love.
Oh yeah, people from
share
Boston don't show their affection through giving each other shit. Yeah,
Taking the piss. That's what we call
you
it.
merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
All right. Well, question number one. Here we go. You get one clue and you can collaborate. The concept for a phone booth originated in the 1960s after a conversation between writer Larry Cohen and which iconic film director?
I want to say Lumet.
That's I see where you're going, but it's not the correct
Alfred Hitchcock.
Really?
Is correct.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Go Hitch.
According to legend, they discussed it many times over.
What a meeting of minds, those two.
It's quite a collision of sensibilities.
Larry
isn't
Cohen
it?
did it over cocaine.
I would love to
Alfred
see.
Hitchcock did it over port, probably.
I would love to see Alfred Hitchcock's version of his script Q. I would love to see that. You remember that one?
Oh, the winged serpent?
Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock's Winged Serpent. Question number two. Writer Larry Cohen wrote a similar screenplay with a similar concept and a similar title that was made into a 2004 movie. Can you name it? Remember, Al Powell is standing by if you need help.
2004?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the clue.
Okay. The film stars Kim Basinger, Jason Statham, Chris Evans, and William H. Macy.
I remember the poster of this movie.
Cellular.
I can't remember the name. Is that what it's called? Okay,
Cellular. He ran it back.
Wasted youth, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, now we've pretty much covered this, so we should get it, but we'll skip the Kiefer one because that already came up. But this kind of survived. The final question is: there are at least 3 different personnel connections to various iterations of the Batman franchise through this film and the people involved. Can you name all of those connections? And there are no clues allowed for this one because you should all know it. So 3 people involved with the film are all connected to various iterations.
Well, Joel Schumacher.
Katie is Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah. You said Katie. And then Colin Farrell plays Penguin.
Penguin.
Exactly. So Joel
damn.
Schumacher directed both Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Katie Holmes starred in Batman Begins, and Colin Farrell played the Penguin in the Batman and the Penguin television series. That does it for us. We're getting you out of here on time. We had to move heaven and earth to make sure that we
thanks
got
for
you
doing this,
guys on
guys,
board.
and doing it so short
at
notice.
short notice, and at 8 a.m. for certain people on the other side.
8 in the morning.
planet.
That's a sleep-in.
Yeah.
That's a sleep-in over here.
We
They're like,
appreciate
I've done
you guys.
6 podcasts already.
Is there anything else you want to say either about this film or anything that you want to plug that you've got going on that you'd love to talk about before we let you get out of here?
I have one thing to plug. Katie Walsh's writing.
Oh, Blake.
Guys, my friend Katie.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Katie is
Stop it.
fucking crushing it right now. I just think, I don't know, you just see people hit their purple patch, and she's fucking crushing it. So just follow Katie and read her reviews, because every time I read them, I'm just like, man, she is firing on all cylinders.
Thank you.
Do not listen to any podcast with me on them. I think this should
Except
be the
this
only
one.
one
This
you
one
listen
listen to, though.
this. Don't bother finding anything else. I talk way too much. And I would just say that there are other series that I might do if these guys plug me in their show notes or whatever. But if you want to listen, go back, search for Miami Nice, and listen to Katie and I have the most fun for a couple of years, deep diving on Michael Mann's 2006 masterpiece that we can safely say that had a huge part in resurrecting in as far as pop culture, and it was largely because Katie and I just had so much fun doing it, and so that was it. But yeah, no,
Aww.
read Katie's writing; she's killing it.
Check out oneheatminuteproductions.com and
Yeah,
all the
all those
shows
things.
that are over there.
All the shows,
And join the
There's
Patreon so
too
you
many shows.
can, chop it up in the Discord.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Miami Nice was a wonderful show.
Yes.
I loved it. It was a great vibes show. It is a show that makes you want to have a cocktail. It's very inclusive and fun and delightful, as well as brilliant film analysis, as always, as we would expect from your good selves. But it's also a great hang, and that's why we're so thrilled to have you hanging out with us this afternoon.
Hey, Blake.
We'll let
Thank
you
you
both
guys.
I forgive you.
I knew you would.
Yeah,
I love you to
know.
pieces.
I
You
love
know
you
when I
too.
smile at you like that and just prod you, it's all for good fun. This is, unfortunately, I want to just tell you listeners, when I see Katie Walsh smile at me on a podcast, I get permission to be cheeky.
Yes.
Right? And this is what happens. It even happened in front of Michael Mann. I looked at Katie and I'm like, I now have permission to be cheeky.
To cheek
To
out.
cheek it.
Yeah.
Cheeks out.
Just to cheeks out. Cheeks out. Much like Colin Farrell in his early career, as I learned in a current press tour that he was wearing a red G-string. Katie, I hope you got the pics.
Speaking of Colin Farrell, I'm going to recommend the film The War Zone, one of the only movies that Tim Roth has ever directed, with Tilda Swinton, about an Irish family and its secrets, and it's one of the most devastating movies I have ever
haven't
seen
seen
in my
that.
life. It is incredible, and I believe it's his first on-screen film
wow.
role as like an interested boy across the bar, if I remember correctly. It's Ray Winstone,
Ooh.
Tilda Swinton, and it's
Love me some
directed by
Tilda.
Tim Roth, and it will fuck
I
you up.
love
It's
me
very,
some
very good
Ray.
movie.
Ray Winstone.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. He
Yeah, hell yeah.
is, it's an amazing.
He's in the Dirtbag Hall of Fame for sure. Katie is a curator and
so
the
hot.
president of the Dirtbag Hall
He's
of Fame.
still so
Yeah.
hot. This man is 69 years old and he is so hot.
Nice.
Hoskins right at
Yeah,
the top. Ray Winston there in the
Hoskins.
second bracket.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Yeah,
this was a
absolutely.
fun hang. This is your pod is always a great
Yeah.
hang too. So thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yeah, you guys are a
course.
great hang in person as well.
A
Speaking
night
from
that
my
lives long in the memory.
Yes.
That's,
no, I don't remember much of it. Actually, I'm going to be
I
So
honest.
what
remember-
brain cells did survive?
I remember every frame of it.
Yeah,
That's
all
right,
of
that's
them.
nice,
They all
Ella.
blend together at 24 beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you, Katie and Blake. You guys are just the best. I just want to drink mojitos with you all the time.
It was, we had to work pretty hard to figure this one out with everybody's schedules, but I hope everyone felt it was worth it. We certainly did, to get the Miami Nice squad
Vibes.
back and to get those nice vibes
Nice.
Liam, what's going on with you? I feel like maybe you got a bit short shrift on that one and that you didn't have enough space. I just want to make sure that you feel loved and taken care of.
Oh, please. I feel good. I'm very happy. But no, when you have two esteemed guests like those guys, you let them cook. You let the guests cook, especially when there's two. We don't often have two guests, right?
No.
And when we do, it's dynamic duos like those two, or Adam and Dom, or
cows in the field.
The cows in the
Shout
fields.
out.
Those guys, the cows,
Justin
the
and Laura.
Doms, and the eyes, the ducks, the never mind. It's good. They're great.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Don't worry about me.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah,
Good.
that was a lot of fun. I'm excited that we're back. Thanks to everyone for bearing with us while we had our summer hiatus. We had a lot going on. Liam has moved cities. I went back to England. We had a lot kind of going on, but we're back in the swing of things with continuing with Die Hard on a Blank and our Patreon show. Let's tell the good people about 48 Hours of Buddy Movies, our Patreon show, where we explore in a similar way the influence of 48 hours across buddy action movies and buddy action cinema. And the next movie that we have coming up, if the schedule, forgive me because it has been a bit...
We're sort of working out the line. Higgledy-piggledy.
We're working it out, but if things hold, I believe our next movie on the Patreon will be...
Oh, boy.
Point Break.
Wow, I caught my first tube today, sir. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
We're going to get meatball subs and some lemonade.
Now,
and
you're a
kick
huge Point Break fan, right? You describe yourself as a Bigelow bruiser, if I remember correctly.
I do worship at the altar of Catherine Bigelow. I think that this movie is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to talk about it. And I also do think beyond the obvious, it's kind of a low-key, profound movie, and we'll be looking forward to unpacking some of that stuff. I think there's a weird thing with that movie where people are like they sort of like it with a wink. And
it's a great detachment movie. I think some of that has to do with the cast, to be honest. Like actors who, and I don't mean this negatively, are like a little harder to take serious. Like they have a little bit of there's something about those two leads that make people take it a little less seriously, and I don't know.
I think completely unfairly, in my opinion. But we'll get into all of that. It's a movie that I love. It's obviously a movie that is very much beloved by many. And next time on this show, I'm saying that
this will just be the next show.
This will be the next episode. You want to tell people what we're doing next? Do you know? Or do I need to remind you?
You need to remind me. I don't remember.
It's directed by Michael Mann.
Oh, it's The Keep. No, I'm just kidding. It's Collateral. Next time on the show, we're doing Collateral. My God. What a movie.
I would love to do The Keep, which I think I could make a case for, despite
it's Die Hard in a Romanian crypt.
Exactly. It writes this episode
or
writes
Keep,
itself.
if you will.
But yes, no, we are doing Collateral, starring Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. It's Die Hard in a Taxi. That will be our next episode, coming in hot in 2 weeks' time. Thank you to Tyson for doing all of our artwork.
Tyson.
Rate. Review, subscribe, tell a friend, force people to sign up for the Patreon. Let's remind people of the deal on that as well. We're a bit out of sorts here, so let's just make sure we're plugging what we need to.
Well, the deal is that if you pay $5, you get 2 episodes a month on the Patreon. If you pay $7, you get a shout out. www. That's too many W's. Patreon.com/48 hours of buddy movies. And we'll be back next time with a killer Mark Ruffalo mustache, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Die Hard on a Blank is a podcast from Philip Gothorn and Liam Billingham. Tyson Hubley makes our art. You can hear exclusive episodes of our Patreon show at patreon.com/48 hours of buddy movies. Rate, review, subscribe, and tell your action movie loving friends about the show. See you next time on Die Hard on a Blank.